Now, before I start, I want to give a mention to a couple of bands. Now, anyone who knows me will know that I really love the emerging rock band scene. And with this in mind, and I should point out that neither of these bands have asked me or paid me to mention them, they're just personal recommendations. Fireheart are a new band and are almost an emerging band supergroup. Founded by the absolutely fantastic Kev Baker after his controversial departure from the Hot 1-2. Their debut EP is coming soon and they are well worth checking out. And while I'm on the subject of bands, it would be remiss of me not to mention King Kraken at this point. They're my boys. I've followed them throughout their journey, and they are starting to make significant strides on the music scene. And their second album, March of the Gods, is released soon. So if you like big slabs of monster riffage, make sure to check them out. Both bands will have links in the video description, and as I stress, these are personal recommendations, nothing more. So, on with the evil badness in the world. When a person has been committing crime for a long time, it's fair to say that they can become somewhat complacent. So when such criminals escalate to murder, they can be, well, lax in terms of who they trust. It may be that they start to feel untouchable or get a bit lazy because crime is just so run-of-the-mill that it doesn't take much effort or much thinking about. Either way, they can often be tripped up through trusting the wrong person. And where would such a curious criminal case take place? I can hear you asking, and say it with me. Florida, of course. We're off to Northport, Florida for the bulk of this case, and to the 2010s for us to look at the misdeeds of Janeene Jones. This is Murder of Crows. Northport is a city located in Sarasota County, Florida. The population was 74,793 at the 2020 census, which was significantly up from 57,357 at the 2010 census. It was originally developed by General Development Corporation, GDC, as the northern Sarasota County portion of its Port Charlotte development, its original name being North Port Charlotte, with the other portion located in the adjacent Charlotte County. As I said, GDC dubbed the city North Port Charlotte, and it became an incorporated city under that name through a special act of the Florida legislature on June the 18th, 1959. And then after a referendum in 1974, the city residents approved a change to its name as simply North Port, dropping the Charlotte portion of its name. And this was done, at least in part, to proclaim the city as a separate identity. In something of a curio, it is home to the Little Salt Spring, which is an archaeological and paleontological site, easy for me to say, owned by the University of Miami. On September the 28th, 2022, Hurricane Ian made direct landfall in Florida, just south of Sarasota County. North Port in particular experienced excessive flooding, and the Holiday Park mobile home community was almost completely destroyed. Now, Florida as a whole, in terms of crime, has around 3 violent crimes per 1,000 residents, while North Port has 1 per 1,000 residents, making it much safer than most Floridian cities. But like anywhere else, crime is always around if you look hard enough and deep enough. But today's antagonist seems to have arrived at crime as a way of life quite late on. But by God, did she make up for lost time. And with this in mind, we need to look at the life of Janeene Jones to try to see what forged her later decisions, and then looking at her very dubious and very criminal later decisions. Born Janeene Leah Monsell in Tawas City, Michigan, she grew up in a military family, and as is the case with many military families, they moved around often depending on military postings. By 1991, Janeene was a twice divorced single mother with a young son living in North Port, Florida. And it was in North Port that she met Max Jones, who was a musician and builder. I'm guessing probably not both at the same time. Their relationship moved fast, and they were married that October, and they went on to have 2 children, a son named Zach and a daughter named Alexandria. Now it seems that something of a trigger for Janeene in terms of unsavoury actions was her stepping outside of her marriage. But this wasn't just a normal affair, if there is any such thing. Her circumstances were very different. As their marriage moved forward, Max had steady construction work. But Janeene bounced around between different jobs. But in 1997, Janeene found a position as a corrections officer at the Charlotte County Jail. All well and good, but that rather imploded in shocking fashion. She had an affair with an inmate named Christopher Proper, as you do. And this incident almost, I don't know why it didn't, but it almost ended the Joneses' marriage. But they chose to stick it out for the sake of the children. Financial pressures were a constant worry, though. And things took a turn for the worse when Max Jones began suffering from severe stomach problems in 2011, resulting in substantial weight loss and multiple hospitalizations. Doctors were unable to diagnose what was wrong with him. I think we've seen this particular movie before. He died of a heart attack at the age of 52 on November the 27th, 2011. Looking back on events later in life, both of the Jones children immediately had questions relating to their father's death and the aftermath of it. Zach Jones reflected, "I saw them covering the body up, and my heart just kind of sank. And I started thinking, okay, why all of a sudden did my dad die of a heart attack when he never really had heart issues to begin with?" Truly a quandary. While the Joneses' daughter Alexandria said of her mother, "There wasn't a single tear in her eye." To this day, I feel that I still have unanswered questions. And if their own children are irked, then it suggests that things may not be as they seem. And then you add to that the fact that there was a quick cremation at Janeene's insistence, which rolled on to Janeene receiving the $1 million life insurance proceeds. Taken together, all of this did nothing to dispel the questions around Max's death. The Joneses' family home was sold off, as were all of Max's belongings, including his tools and musical equipment, and this all happened in rapid succession. Not one for grieving periods, Janeene quite soon after married Matthew Riley Smith, who was over 20 years her junior. And with her life insurance payout, Janeene began renovating and renting out properties around Northport. Now, the area had seen a building boom in the early 2000s, but the 2008 financial crisis had led to many property foreclosures, which in turn resulted in an absolute plethora of abandoned houses throughout the city. While it could be seen as financially astute to invest in bargain properties to build a property portfolio, there was one teeny tiny problem in this case. Janeene didn't actually own any of the properties. Jones and Smith drilled the locks off dozens of foreclosed homes around Northport, and then forged multiple quit-claim deeds to pretend that they owned those properties. And all of this, whether it was just Janeene directing her boy toy husband in what to do, or whether it was genuinely a joint enterprise, is hard to say. But Janeene's later behaviour would lead me to believe that it was her ruthlessness alone that directed the metaphorical traffic within this marriage. And it was during this renting for profit fraud scheme that a major player enters our story and ends up being something of an unsung hero. John Chamberlain was a plumber, and what began as doing some routine jobs on some of the properties would become a friendship of sorts, with Chamberlain becoming part of the scheme's inner circle, and him becoming ever more uncomfortable as the nature of the scheme started to become clearer to him. He was himself renting one of Jones's properties at a reduced rate because of the work he was doing, and working on all of the properties that needed work doing on them. And his discomfort was seemingly becoming clear to Janeene Jones herself. And it was around this time that the shifty lady started plotting. Things came to a head after one of the real owners discovered what was going on. They had returned to their home to discover someone else living there, and this someone else claimed that a woman named Jan Jones owned it. Now, Janeene used a burner phone for her renters, so nothing could be traced back to her. But when asked for a contact number for Janeene, Chamberlain gave the owners her real phone number. and in revenge, Janeene moved to evict Chamberlain from the house that he rented from her, and sent Smith as her enforcer over to deliver the news, which resulted in a vicious fight between the two. Then Chamberlain reported My Retirement LLC, which was Janeene's company, to the Northport Police Department in January of 2013, and found that they were very keen to have a reason to investigate the woman who had been on their radar since the questionable death of Max Jones. Northport PD had tried to investigate the death of Max Jones, but due to the rapid cremation they couldn't prove that his death was a homicide. So they welcomed the opportunity to open a fraud investigation on Janeene. And with this in mind, Chamberlain was key to the police's ongoing investigation, and he provided plenty of detail about the ongoing fraud.
Right away after her husband died, I can't judge, but she was like out there immediately with a new boyfriend. This Matthew Smith, he actually came about, he was her cable guy. Yeah, she knew him for a few months before they went to Vegas and got married. Right when her and Matt first got together, it was brought to my attention that she was being investigated for allegedly killing her ex-husband, Max.
Was that Janeene and Matt both, or just Janeene, or just Matt, or?
No, that was both of them.
Both of them.
And I've heard it out of Matt's mouth that none of these houses are legal, and that he was trying to get Jan set up where she'd be like making $10,000 to $15,000 a month.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, who's the brainchild of this? Is it Jan?
Absolutely. I just can't believe what she has turned into. Once I became aware of what she was actually doing with this rental scheme, I came down here and spoke with Detective Stewartson and told him everything that I knew.
And when asked who was the brain behind the operation, John Chamberlain replied simply, Jan, absolutely. But things took an even darker turn. In the middle of the investigation, Sarasota Police Lieutenant Robert Armstrong received a tip from an informant that Janeene was trying to hire someone to murder John Chamberlain. This informant agreed to wear a wire and record Jones soliciting a hitman. At a meeting in a Sarasota restaurant, Janeene told the informant she wanted Chamberlain dead before his eviction hearing, at which point she intended to be away on a cruise, thus having a solid alibi.
John Chamberlain? Did you tell anybody coming up there to meet you? It would have been what are you doing that for? Oh. Matt. Oh. They were in our house today, so. He's like, hey. Bars are fishing. Is it just him now? Him and his daughter. They're alone all the time. How old is he? 11? What's up? The house that's up to an empty house. What are you coming home? You're doing home at night then? I was talking to dude. He had a shitload of questions. That's fine. That's why I asked you who was in the house. Mm-hmm. Does he have any dogs? Two cats. He wanted to know, like, what do you want? Scared. Bye-bye. Can I ask you what you're sure you wanted to do? Yeah. So we're gone. Yep. You wanted to leave any body? You want to take the body? Do you want to leave the body? Take the body? We want to dispose the body. How soon do you want him done? And you want him to take the body? Huh? And you want him to take the body? And you're sure? Well, this is something straight. I'm leaving Mexico State again, I'm sure. and I'll be going until Sunday. So, you can either do it before that or after. You want to supper?
Sarasota Police Detective Dominic Harris then posed as the hitman and called Janeene to discuss terms.
Morning.
Hey, what's up? Homegirl said you're looking to get some work done.
Mm-hmm.
How soon are you trying to have that done?
I'm leaving next Wednesday to go on a cruise, and I'll be gone until Sunday. So, you either do it before that or after.
Why don't you have it done while you're doing it? That make more sense, right?
Yeah.
I want it all written down. I mean, if you want it, I need to know where he lives. I need to know his friends. I need to know what he drives. And I need a photo.
Okay.
You get all that?
Yeah. It might be fun.
And this led to Janeene meeting with Harris in his car on February the 25th, 2013. And during the meeting, she gave him a photo of Chamberlain, details of his home, and suggested snapping his neck or shooting him as the least messy methods. Harris asked if anyone else lived in the home with Chamberlain, to which Janeene replied, "He's got a daughter which I don't care about," showing what the woman truly was. And Detective Harris later reflected on the meeting where he said, "She said if she gets in the way, kill her too. And at that time I knew, man, this lady is evil." Janeene agreed to pay Harris $4,000 to murder Chamberlain, including a $1,000 down payment in cash. And before the meeting was over, she also asked him to murder her husband, Smith, for another $4,000.
Hello.
How you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing
Good.
I don't shake hands. Yeah, but nice to meet you.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's that? All right, you gotta tell him where to go to. Yep. You're gonna go back out on Price. He doesn't know about Norfolk.
If you just see good on, I don't even white boys. I don't know how y'all work out here, but
They'll pull your ass over.
they'll get you for anything. You talk to my baby girl, she'll tell you, oh, I'm serious about my shit. I think come down here to play around. What are you thinking? You know what I mean? Because once you get me the money, that's it.
But I mean, there's no mistaking he's bald and
No twin brother, no, none of that.
most of his family's up in New York.
Okay.
He's got a daughter, which I don't care about. This house, that's butts up to the back left property. That's vacant. That's a possibility. The neighbors aren't really out when it's dark.
No nosy looking around, nothing like that. All right, so exactly how do you want it done?
Easiest. I mean, if you think just snapping his neck and putting him to sleep that way.
I'm by my. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm gonna do it how you want me to do it. You know what I mean? So you can be satisfied. I can do it any kind of. You know what I mean? I'll burn his ass out, snap his neck. How you want me to do it? I can do it. I'm asking you, how do you want me to do it?
Well, obviously, the least message better
Okay.
for both of us.
Okay. Option 1.
Snap his neck.
And then 2 is what?
Shoot.
He has too much knowledge of my life that can come back and bite me in the ass.
Oh, okay.
That don't work. Only thing he does is the houses for me. He's the next one on my list.
Yeah. How would you want that one done?
Something along the lines of carjacking.
After exiting Harris's vehicle, Janeene was immediately taken into custody and she was charged with 2 felony counts of solicitation to commit murder in the first degree. In your face, you cowbag. Now, Smith was shocked to learn of his wife's murder plot, but refused to cooperate with police, probably trying to protect himself rather than his snake of a wife. Smith and Jones would subsequently receive 33 charges related to their real estate scam, ranging from burglary to criminal use of identification to operating as an unlicensed real estate agent. Janeene Jones and Smith divorced in October 2013. I can't think why. Smith served 6 months in jail before pleading guilty to 1 count of scheming to defraud in January 2014, and also agreeing to testify against Jones. He was further sentenced to 4 years probation and ordered to pay $17,500 in restitution. In May of 2014, Janeene Jones pleaded no contest to 2 counts of solicitation to commit murder and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Now 57 years old, she is currently incarcerated at the Florida Women's Reception Center State Prison. Sounds lovely, but I bet it's not. And that's in Ocala. Now, we can't prove that Max Jones was murdered as part of Janeene Jones' venomous tale. But given that the insurance money kick-started her criminal career, along with her general lack of care about other people, means that I find it most likely that at the very least she helped Max on his downward slope of ill health. As a result, I dedicate this episode to him, and also to John Chamberlain, the unsung hero of this tale, who blew the whistle on Jones and gave police a way in to investigate Janeene Jones' ongoing shenanigans. I send love and condolences to all of those who knew and loved Max, particularly Zach and Alexandria Jones. Thank you for watching another episode of Murder of Crows. If you've made it this far and you've not subscribed yet, please consider hitting the subscribe button along with the bell icon to stay up to date with my twice weekly uploads. And with that said, I'm Steve, this orange furball is Samson, and we will see you when we see you.